Maurice Tillet, better known in the wrestling world as the French Angel, was a remarkable figure whose life combined extraordinary physical transformation, personal perseverance, and public spectacle. Born in the early 20th century to French parents in Russia, Tillet's journey was shaped by the rare medical condition acromegalia, which dramatically altered his appearance. And though he faced many social stigmas and health conditions, it did not actually stop him from actually becoming a wrestling superstar. And he actually made a very successful career out of it. And with all of that, becoming also a major box office hit in the 1940s. Over time, his story has become intertwined with popular culture. Many believe he inspired the look of the animated ogre called Shrek, though that connection remains speculative. And I mean, literally, when you look at his face right here versus the face of Shrek right here, literally you can see the comparison right there. They are very much similar, but they keep on saying that he was not basically the inspiration for the character of Shrek. But we'll see. In here, we are going to explore Maurice Tillet's life in depth, basically examining his early years, his wrestling career, his personal struggles, and basically all of his life. So you better hang on tight. Ultimately, arguing that Maurice Tillet was far more than a monster in the ring. He was a complex, resilient individual who turned adversity into achievement. And don't forget your boy, like this video and subscribe to the channel because I see many of you not actually subscribing, so go for it. There's many more videos to come, many more. Now let's begin. In his early life, Maurice Tillet was born on October 23, 1903, in the rural region of Russia to French parents. His father worked as an engineer on the Trans-Siberian Railroad, and his mother was a teacher. And his father actually died when he was young. So it left the whole responsibility to actually his mother to raise him to become the man that he became, basically. And when he was a teenager, Maurice already noticed that he had some abnormal swelling in his hands, in his feet, and in his chest, basically. And by the age of 19, he was diagnosed with acromegalia, a hormonal disorder usually caused by a benign tumor on the pituitary gland. Unlike common myths, acromegalia in his case did not make him extremely tall, but instead thickened his bones, meaning his face, his head, his hands, and feet grew disproportionately. Basically, like instead of having a regular hand just like this, his hand would swell so much that his hand would grow bigger, and all of his limbs basically would grow bigger. But he wouldn't grow like taller, but his body would. And despite his physical challenges, Maurice was actually very intellectual. He actually studied law in the University of Toulouse in France, earning him a degree at least. And however, he believed that his voice and his appearance will actually harm him in the future and not allowing him to actually have a successful career as a lawyer in a way. And from that point of view, he actually chose a different path in life, and that's where he actually decided to join the French Navy, serving as an engineer on submarines for 5 years. And in addition to his academic and professional pursuits, Tillet was athletic. He played rugby and notably once played in a match in London where he shook hands with King George V, a moment he actually cherished. But then when it comes to his transition to wrestling, let's go for it. Tillet's entry into wrestling came in the late 1930s. In 1937, he met Carl Pogello, a Lithuanian wrestler who saw potential in Tillet's physical uniqueness and pursued him to train in wrestling. The two relocated to Paris, where Tillet honed his wrestling skills, and he later wrestled in England. And by 1939, as World War II loomed, Tillet and Pogello moved to the United States, a shift that would define Tillet's wrestling career. In Boston, promoter Paul Bowser recognized Tillet's drawing potential and built him up as the character the French Angel. And Tillet very much quickly became a big attraction. From May 1940 until May 1942, he held the American Wrestling Association World Heavyweight Championship and he briefly reclaimed it again in 1944. And during this time, he maintained a complete, absolute aura of invincibility. He was using his hockey to the utmost. Reportedly going unbeaten for 19 consecutive months. And I'm telling you, back in the day, it was pretty much amazing already. His wrestling persona leaned heavily into his physical distinctiveness. His signature move was a bear hug, emphasizing his strength and mass. And as soon as he will come and hug you, that's it, you're done. He drew many crowds, partly actually due to fascination because of his appearance. People want to see something crazy, you know? Many people actually considered him as something not normal, like something out of this world, you know? Something that they absolutely have to go see. Oh, we have to go see that giant or something. So from that perspective, you can basically clearly see that he became more of a fascination towards people, like, oh my god, we're gonna go see him today, more than anything. And when a character comes out of the boundaries of even reality and becomes a fascination like that, that's when you won. But all of that actually was hiding a very dark situation about Maurice Tillet as well, because he's been diagnosed with that illness in a way. And at the same time, yes, being a wrestler and all of that, you are actually making your body go through so much that at some point your health is gonna start to decline. Yeah, just like what happened to Andre the Giant. He basically had almost the same illness, sickness in a way. For him, he basically was tall. He was like 7 foot something. But health-wise, like as soon as he was like 44, he was gone, you know? He couldn't even move that much anymore. And you could even see it in the ring sometimes. And just like I said, though, like what made him unique and what made him fascinated towards people is also what started on killing him slowly, basically. Because his body is going through so much hardship and all of that, at some point it's gonna break. Acromegalia is more than a cosmetic condition. It can lead to serious health complications, and for TA, such complications grew over time. By around 1945, his health began to decline noticeably. The thickening of his organs, a consequence of his condition, likely contributed to cardiovascular strain. And as his health is going on declining and all of that, and promoters are like, maybe we should not be working with him and all of that, he was still seen as an unstoppable force. And just for that, they still kept on promoting and kept on making new promotions and all of that, making new venues and all of that, and making new fights and all of that. Like, it was nuts back in the day. Outside the ring, TA formed a deep, lifelong friendship with Carl Pogello, his trainer, manager, and now companion. Their relationship extended beyond professional partnership, and in the 1950s, they lived together in a mansion in Chicago even, alongside Pagello's wife too. So they all lived happily ever after. And in 1950, a sculptor named Louis Link created a bust of TA drawn from admiration for both his physical presence and his character. One of these busts is now displayed at the International Museum of Surgical Science in Chicago. And with everything that happened in TA's life and everything, he basically left a whole legacy behind him. And literally the most enduring part of TA's legacy is not actually only in wrestling, but it's also, his legacy also influenced a part of popular culture. For example, many people claim that Maurice Tillet was the real-life inspiration for Shrek, the grumpy but lovable ogre from William Stein's book and the DreamWorks films. And there are few threads that actually believe in that, and let's go through them. The first one says, the sculpted bust by Louis Link resembles the rotund, broad-headed, rounded-faced ogre, and that similarity has been pointed to by fans and writers. DreamWorks animators are said to have seen Link's bust in a museum and drawn from its features. Media and wrestling historians frequently note the physical similarities. TA's enlarged facial bones, his massive hands, and his gentle voice and persona match the ogre with a heart of gold archetype. And however, it's important to note that DreamWorks never officially came out and said that, yes, Maurice Tillet was the inspiration to Shrek. It's basically just like them saying, no, he's not the inspiration, but he's very close to the inspiration. That tells me they're probably not saying the truth, but they probably got inspired from him. Because literally, when you compare them, literally in those two pictures, Right here, you can see that they are the same. Or close. I mean, hey, you tell me down in the comments below. In the wrestling history, TA's influence was also felt through imitators. After his rise, several other angel characters appeared. For example, the Swedish angel, the Polish angel, all of them angels, they are in the WWE, I am telling you. And they often played on similar physical traits. Basically, you know, if they are big or they are like very tall or whatever, they might call themselves the angel. And for example, if they're jumping up from the third row or whatever, and hey, they might have as well have some wings, you know. His legacy is also preserved medically and artistically. The above mentioned busts, his wrestling championships, and the narrative of a man who turned a difficult condition into a source of strength. Maurice's life was absolutely extraordinary in many ways. Born into actually humble circumstances, he transformed his physical condition into a form of power that he could use to actually make something out of himself. His diagnosis of acromegalia dramatically changed his appearance and trajectory, but rather than retreating, he leveraged his uniqueness to dominate in the wrestling world as the French Angel. And going from trying to be a lawyer to be in the Navy to be a wrestler, he literally done it all. Despite the health struggles that came with his condition, including eventual cardiovascular issues, he maintained personal dignity, loyalty, and friendship, especially with his trainer, Clark Bogello. And the legend that actually inspires Shrek speaks to how deeply his face and his story resonates in the culture. He was seen as both monstrous and very noble at the same time. Very fair, but very strong at the same time. Ferocious, yet very gentle. Literally just like Shrek. Even though the connection to Shrek remains unconfirmed, the very persistence of that idea reflects how TA captured the public imagination, not just as a freak show act, but as a complicated human figure who defied expectation. Maurice TA died on September 4th, 1954 in Chicago, shortly after learning of Bogello's death, and was buried beside his friend. His life left a dual legacy. In the annals of wrestling history as a champion, and in popular culture as a symbol of transformation, acceptance, and the possibility of turning adversity into a lasting impact. Thank you for staying with me until the end of this video. It's been a pleasure telling you this story because even myself, I learned some stuff that I didn't even know before making this video. And it's been a pleasure to actually make a video about Maurice TA, who is known as better as Shrek. No matter what they say, he will look like Shrek all day, every day. I am telling you. But on that note, don't forget to comment this video, like this video, subscribe to the channel. Let's get the algorithm rolling and let's go for it. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.